As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Business Zone. And I'm Crystal and Gilbert is on his way in, and we have a great show for you today, and we can't wait to share it with you. Pretty much keeping in tune with what's going on in our world today, which is all kinds of crazy stuff. It's just one. I don't know, an SNL every single day because there's just too much stuff going on. But I hope you had a great week. I did. It was super busy. And now we are winding down to another week and actually moving into the Easter week. So kind of excited about that, actually. Soon we'll have Easter. And that's usually a very peaceful time for everyone and their family. And so I know some of your children have been on spring break a couple weeks ago, and then some of your kids are on spring break this week, and then I think there's some kids going to be on spring break the following week. So it's no longer aligned, obviously, with the holiday, with Easter, but that's fantastic. So hopefully you guys are enjoying yourself. Okay, so waiting for Gilbert to come in, and so we can get started with our show. Today, our show is on, it is called Tariffs, Turmoil, and making tough decisions about your business, especially if your business is, you have a product and you manufacture your product in another country, or it is manufactured in another country, so that it can be cost effective for you. And here is Gilbert. Hold on, Gilbert. Got to get you in. There we go. I can't hear you. Still can't hear you. Okay. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. You can hear me, but I can't hear you. Technical difficulties. So our show today is on tariffs, turmoil, and tough choices. Hopefully, we're going to discuss some solutions for small businesses to prevent them from having to shut down during this time. And I guess one of the things that we can look at it as 5 years ago when the pandemic hit, we were kind of in a similar place where business was no longer being conducted as usual. And so we kind of have to use some of the same strategies that we had then. And then and hopefully there'll be some solutions that we will offer you today that should be able to help you. And as we know in business that there are always uncertainties. There are always things that happen externally. And that is one of the reasons why business coaches and business consultants are always stressing the importance of having backup scenarios. We're also always stressing that revenue shouldn't come from one source. We also stress that there should be an emergency fund in place just in case something does happen that is outside of your control. And so, which is some of the things that we had to do during the pandemic. We also had to learn to pivot And so, a lot of us still have that in us. So we kind of coasted for the last 5 years, and all was well, and now all is not well. So we have to put on our thinking caps on how to stay alive and how to keep our businesses functioning during this time. So that's what we're going to talk about. So welcome to the Business Zone, the place where we speak truth to power and give you, entrepreneurs and small business owners, the tools to thrive in uncertain times. I'm sorry. And I am one of your hosts, Crystal Mitchell. I am a business coach and consultant, and I also run a nonprofit called Recycling Black Dollars. And I provide my clients and my customers with the tools to be successful in business, to make sure that they have a solid financial structure in the business, that they know their numbers, they know how to read the financial statements, basically just being business ready. And so that kind of encompasses a lot. And then my co-host, Mr. Gilbert Buchanan, Coach Buchanan, he's having technical difficulties. Um, and he is your small business paramedic, and he also does similar to what I do, but his area of expertise is in contracts, government contracts, city contracts, corporate contracts, and how to prepare yourself to be successful in that space. So today we are tackling the storm or the tornado, the tsunami that is shaking the foundation of small businesses across America today. And this time it is the Trump era or turf. And unfortunately, um, these are not just headlines that you're reading on your social media and hearing on YouTube and reading in your paper. These are real policies causing real pain for real people. And from the smallest business owner to the largest business owner, actually. The only difference is large business owners have more reserves than small business owners. So, uh, anyone from toy makers to beauty brands to pet stores, small businesses today are facing some catastrophic increases in costs, which is delaying a lot of their shipments that come from other countries. And hopefully, this will not happen. But hopefully, we will not have any closures during this time. Unfortunately, there were a large number of businesses that closed in 2020, and so we want you all to survive during this time. So, Gilbert, you still having trouble? Yeah, can't. Did you go to the settings and check the audio? Uh, the settings here, the little gear shift button on the bottom. Yeah, next to the share screen space, and then open it up and see where your settings are and what your audio is, and it should be connected to, or you can shift the connection.
No?
Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
I do not know what happens here. Oh my Lord, this is crazy. Anyway, folks, I am Coach Gilbert Buchanan, and this is my wonderful co-host, Coach Crystal Mitchell. And
Uh,
as she told you earlier, we're gonna have an amazing show. We're gonna talk about tariffs and how it affects small businesses, but most of all, we're gonna talk about my co-host, Miss Crystal Mitchell. For those of you who don't know her, we're gonna have to introduce you to my co-host. So, co-host, before I introduce you, tell me a little bit about your week, how it went.
My week was super, super busy. Um, I think I mentioned to you, well, not on the show, but I mentioned to you that I was sitting on a subcommittee. It's called the CPG or CPJ or something of that nature. But what it is some funds that came into the city of Los Angeles. These are
Oh,
not governmental funds; these are city funds,
oh, okay.
and these funds were to be distributed. It's like 9 million, I think. Distributed 9 million. That's what it was. Distributed amongst this community-based organizations in Los Angeles, the
Mm,
CBOs, and I was part of the sub committee, the steering committee, to help create the application and
uh-huh.
making sure that the application was fair and that and equitable to everyone. We
Mm.
even decided on whatever the amounts were going to be distributed out to the participants. So it was sent out to the city of Los Angeles, and some of the criteria were the individuals had to be uh, a CBO, or they could be a for profit, but they had to work under the umbrella of a CBO, a community based
Tell
organization.
the audience, for those who don't know what a CBO is, co-host.
Community based organizations, so nonprofits,
Right.
or organizations that work on behalf and support and provide services to the community organizations out there. So
So how many applications did you get?
there are actually 122 applications.
What?
122 applications, and each one is 10 of us on a committee. So we have to review 4 applications a week.
Wow. Now, these applications, are they for-profit businesses, or they're nonprofit as well?
Majority of them are, some of them are for profit. What they had to do was it had to be a collaborative effort.
Mm,
They was a lot of emphasis on this being a collaborative effort,
mhm.
and that not just nonprofits doing it by themselves, but finding partners. It had to be in the area of aerospace. It had to be in clean energy. It had to be in video and production,
Mhm.
and there was one other place. And so all of the ideas or concepts have to be in there. They definitely could be um, startups or first phase, which is basically a startup, and that was really what we had to do. It's
Oh,
called the CJF.
oh, wow.
So in the city systems,
Right.
they use a lot of acronyms.
Oh, yeah.
Half the time, I don't know what they're talking about, but that's okay. I know business.
That's not an accident that happens. It's on purpose, right?
Is it so that no one knows what they're talking about? Is that what it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah. So they can appear like, they know what they're talking about and we don't. So we have to
Okay.
keep asking them for clarification.
Yeah, because they got an acronym for everything under the sun. Um, so my first 4 came last week on Thursday.
Hmm.
I didn't really get to. I had a crazy busy weekend, so I didn't get to do anything with it on Thursday
Right.
and or the weekend, and so I had to buckle down on Sunday night and Monday, and really not even Sunday night because I was too tired, on Monday, Tuesday, and we had to review them on Wednesday.
That is unbelievable, man.
So the ones I had were some interesting businesses.
Yeah.
It's funny when you're on the other side reviewing proposals
Yeah.
as opposed to writing them and submitting them. So now you have to kind of put on a different hat, right? And you have to be objective.
Yeah.
But at the same time, um, some people have been accustomed to writing proposals, and so they're pretty thorough. And they have a lot of, they may have a pitch deck that will give you a summary. Some of them are just, you got to read pages and pages and pages outlining all of the detail of what the project is going to be, and hopefully making sure that they cover all of the sections. There's 6 sections that they have to make sure that is inclusive in the presentation.
Right.
So I got my second batch. Don't know what they look like, and so on Wednesday we just kind of went over what we had seen, how we're supposed to answer it. Also, if there's any conflict of interest on our part, because these are not a lot of them are CBOs, nonprofits. So if you work in that space, it's very difficult for you not to have run across somebody that's in that space. So we had to define what conflict of interest is. And then at that point, just kind of switch it over with another one of the other team members.
It's good that at least you guys are practicing proper compliance when it comes to reviewing those applications and making sure it's done. Unfortunately, our government don't practice compliance when it comes to conflict of interest. So.
I know. Half of us are starting trying to do the right thing. The other half, I don't know. The parts that the people that are supposed to be doing the right thing are not doing the right thing, which is what we're going to talk about today. But
so we got to set the example for them since they don't know how.
Because, as a person, as a human being, I think some of the most revered characteristics of a human being is, 1, integrity, 2, transparency, and the ability to be empathetic of others' plight. And that's not what we're seeing. In fact, what we're seeing today is everything. If you're a parent, these are the things that you're trying to make sure that your children don't develop into. So you spend a lot of time in their early developmental years making sure that they understand lying is wrong, and dishonesty is wrong, stealing is wrong, not having empathy for other people that may not be in the same situation or the same circumstances as you is wrong. But today we have people that are indicating they are Christians and they are truly not walking the walk of the Jesus Christ. That's what I say. So these are some new kind of Christians that actually are writing their own Bibles and their own discipline. But all I say is this, as my mother used to say, the only person that's going to make that judgment of you that could be life or that could be critical is when you leave this earth and you have to walk through those pearly gates. And if you can't walk through those pearly gates with your head up and them not stopping you like they do at the TSA line and tell you that, I'm sorry, this is not the place you are going to spend your eternity in. And that is the one thing I think for me that has always kept me moving and doing the right thing for the right reasons.
I get you, man. I get you. See, it's unfortunate. Not too many people have scruples, so they don't think like that. They're thinking all about themselves. Me.
Exactly. So, so that's the world we're living in right now. The me, the people that just want to rip everybody off and harm. Not just. It's one thing if you're gonna rip people off. If that's your thing, all right, have at it. Go rip off whatever, do whatever you're doing. But why are you hurting and exercising such cruelty to people that live in this country? And that's my thing. I don't understand that. I guess I don't know what to make of any of that. And I'm sure many of my fellow Americans that are raised the same way I was raised are probably feeling the exact same way. What the heck is happening? You deliberately want to hurt people. You deliberately want to laugh at people's misfortune.
Oh, some people don't really care. They don't care.
Some people don't care. And I just heard two crazy things that I just heard. Every time you open up your phone or you go to your social media, you hear some stuff and you go, is that really true? And then you see who did it and you go, yeah, that's really true. So Elon Musk has decided that the way that individuals that are on Social Security will communicate, or he will communicate with them, is on X.
What?
That's the only communication you're going to be able to have if you don't go into an office. You have to put all your business on a 240-page piece of crap software called X.
That is crazy, man. See, that's mixing personal with the government work. You can't do that. That's not an authorized way of communication by Congress. You see what I'm saying?
No, it's not by Congress. Right. And what seniors have Twitter? None.
That's what
and most of us have deleted it anyway because we don't like the person that runs it. So no, that's crazy. And then the other one I read was that the man over the CDC has decided to fire all of the people on cruise ships. Oh, the diseased. What is he's going to do? He's fired everyone that protects cruise liners from diseases and airborne diseases that can kill their passengers.
That is so crazy.
So he just fired them all. It's like a comedy of error. I don't even know what it is. It's just like I guess the plan is just to destroy the country. That's the only thing it can be. Just destroy the country. They are out to destroy the country. And the only reason I can say that you would do that is because you're doing it for Russia.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I can see. Anyway, so that was part of my week. But over the weekend, I think this was the most, all the cruise, he fires all the cruise inspectors. That's the word I was looking for. I had the opportunity to sit on the board with the National Coalition of Black Women, and they were doing their annual tea. And I was asked to sit on the panel to discuss legacy, financial legacy, and just sometimes a wealth legacy, and sometimes wealth is not determined by the actual cash dollars in your hand. Sometimes it's the seeds that you plant, and that's what we were talking about. And so myself, a young lady that's in the real estate industry, which was actually really, she too was talking about a legacy in wealth in a different capacity. But homes, of course, are definitely a pathway to wealth. But the highlight for me was that a young lady that was in one of our biz camp classes when she was in 8th grade, which would have made her about 13 years old, sat on the panel with me as well. She's now 21, and she is going to SC, and she is graduating from college in the spring, next spring, as a double major, business and econ. And her business was about teaching financial literacy and competency to teens like herself. And so she's been speaking she's been speaking in a lot of her school programs about that. And so this is now her desire, her career desire is to be in the finance industry. So this summer she's going to do an internship at JP Morgan Chase, and she's very excited. And so it was just so cute because talking, you're asking two adult women who've been in business for over 30 years, what, their legacy and what they feel that they've left, and would you change anything that you're doing today? Would you, if you had to change, would you still be an entrepreneur? And what do you love about entrepreneurship? And then they asked her, and she goes, "Well, my career is just starting. I don't have what these two ladies have, but she's planting her own little seeds because of the career that she's choosing to go into." So that was an honor to sit on a panel with someone that you taught who taught who, and what you taught them was the beginning of the career they were going to choose as an adult. So I was honored to do that.
That's good, man. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, so that was really, really cool. I enjoyed that immensely. And so that was pretty much my week. Where did you go? So it was busy, and I'm we're back. All righty. You're back. Now we don't have your face. Hey, Carlos, how are you? Good to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a very long time. It's all well with you and the family? And Gilbert should be back in a minute. I'm not sure what's happening here. Yeah, he didn't even get to see your name. When he does come back on, he will be happy to see you, because I don't know if you two have spoken, but I know I haven't seen you since you ran for office. I think that was the last time I saw you. You can't see, but Carlos is here. And I can't hear you, so check your sound again. You are having such challenges today. Okay, flip the name around. Yeah, we miss you too. There you go. Now check you. You got sound? Check the gear shift. It says that you're on mute for whatever reason. Carlos is laughing at you, because he's a tech dude. He says he knows a guy that can help you. Check your gear and make sure your hit your
Hear me?
You got 2 mics and no sound. Yeah, he got 2 mics and no sound.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can. Yes.
You can? You
yes.
can? Oh, you can?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Finally. Hey, Mr. Carlos.
He's laughing at you.
Oh, man. Hey, Carlos, did you win the election, man? He said, there he is.
Yeah, there he is. He asked.
Hey, Carlos, did you win the election, brother?
I told him that was the last time I've seen him when he was running, and he said that all love, brother, all love. So we're gonna get into our topic, and Carlos, if you have anything to add, we would love to have you to do that in the chat. Why do you where you got to go there, man?
So I guess no. All right, brother. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to embarrass you, man. I didn't mean to embarrass you.
All right, we're gonna jump into our topic before we lose Gilbert again.
I know, man. I don't know what's going on over here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. One of the things that, we decided on this topic because, it was all in the news. It was all in the news this week. And when you hear it, the way it's been coming at you on social media, you don't necessarily think of your neighbor or your fellow business owner until you start asking questions, and then you realize, wait a minute, the small business owner is getting caught up in the crosshairs of this. Others are making all kinds of money off of this, the ones that are billionaires, they just always seem to be positioned in the right places, whereas us little bitty old people, we're struggling just trying to stay alive, and so all of a sudden, without plan of notice, uh, small businesses are being attacked mainly because the Trump administration has suddenly gone on this tariff war, and these tariffs are like astronomical. So I think at last point, which would have been this morning,
Yeah.
Trump, the tariffs for Chinese imports have gone up to 145% and are forcing small business owners to make some very heartbreaking decisions, including some of them even at this point, and it is early on, closing their doors. Some of them have cargo on a ship in a cargo container, and they can't even get to it because they cannot afford it. And so that's what we're going to talk about. What that looks like um, is real for the small business. The bigger businesses, they have resources that small businesses don't have. So just here's what we're going to talk about. Imagine importing a product from China that once had a 15% tariff. So the way we have to look at, we have to do some math so that you can really get the full gist of what we're talking about, right? So if you had a container coming in with, I don't know, 10,000 pieces, right? Let's go with 10,000 pieces, and your cost um, your cost may have been, I don't know, maybe $4,000, right? Now you prepared for that because you actually ordered your product, and that $4,000 would have included a 15% tariff already, right? So 15%. Well, let's say it didn't include it. Let's say you had to add that 15% to that. That means now you're going to be paying $4,600 for it, but you didn't plan for it, right? You didn't done your forecasting. You know that when you get your product, you factored in that 15% tariff into to the selling price, and now you're going to recoup that, right? And you're going to make a profit. That's the way that works.
I
So
think,
now
co-host, before we introduce that tariff information that is so valuable to our listeners and small businesses, I think our audience need to know who you are.
we
And
just told them who I was.
no, they don't know who you are. I know who you are. They need to know who you are. I know Mr. Garcia wants to know who you are.
Knows who I am.
So we need to introduce you. Allow me to introduce my co-host. And folks, I'm going to go ahead and have you learn about this phenomenal woman who's been providing you information all week throughout the year about the business zone, about small businesses, about BizCamp and all of that. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Miss Crystal Mitchell, Coach Crystal Mitchell. Coach Mitchell, tell the audience a little bit about who you are.
I thought I just did, but okay. I am a business coach and consultant. I've been doing this for over 30 years. My areas of expertise is actually in finance, and I help small businesses and entrepreneurs create and launch and operate successful businesses. I do that for both adults and young people. So I have a youth entrepreneur program as well. Been running that one for 15 years. And so that is who I am.
All right. All right. So that's a good start right there. So she's run this program for 15 years, folks, and she's been doing a great job with these young entrepreneurs, which I'm very impressed. year after year after year, she goes through a competition with, she takes these youth entrepreneurs to a competition. And guess what, folks? She wins every time. Every time her kids that she's trained, prepared, and practice with, they win. So I just want her to tell you a little bit about that program. That program is called the BizCamp program, but that BizCamp program is run through another organization, which she is going to tell you about. So tell the audience, Coach Crystal, about that program, that BizCamp program.
Okay, so BizCamp and Biz Institute, BizCamp is the annual summer program. We host two cohorts, one in June, one in July, and they're 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks at best, but mostly 3 weeks. And in that time frame, we recruit young people who have a desire to be in business for themselves, and then we take them through this program, this curriculum, and they learn all aspects of being an entrepreneur, what that looks like, what the character is, all parts of being an entrepreneur. And then we help them discover to create a product. And basically the emphasis on the product is that it's solving a problem that a specific demographic is looking for a solution. And so through the curriculum and activities that we provide for them, they then come up with an idea, and then we develop that idea through creating the name, what it takes to register businesses, and what that first step is, and then developing a marketing campaign, identifying their demographics, and then the product valuation, and then eventually we get to the final part, and that's the financials. And then they go and they pitch before their business people in the community. There's mentors involved. We have people come out. So if anyone is interested, on April 19th, this is virtual. We need we need mentors. You can be in business or you can work in corporate America, but we need you to mentor our young people. They will share and do their pitch and practice before you. And then at that point, the following week on May 3rd, they will be presenting their business citywide. This is a citywide program that they do in the winter time, in the spring, spring. And then BizCamp starts in June. So we will start recruiting and interviewing and getting ready for BizCamp. BizCamp is much faster than Biz Institute. Biz Institute is actually a 6-month program. Really, they got much longer time to develop out and procrastinate and do all that sort of stuff. They have no time to procrastinate in the 3-week program. So in 3 weeks, they do everything that needs to be done, and then they get up and they pitch. And then there are judges, and then they decide who is the first, second, and third place winner. And that's what I do.
Well, so I understand this BizCamp program my co-host, Crystal Mitchell. I understand this BizCamp program is affiliated with another program called Nifty.
Nifty is the curriculum that we use, and we actually license the curriculum. The program is actually hosted through the Los Angeles Urban League. We raise funds through pretty much the banking industry. That's most of the time what our sponsors. That's who our sponsors have been historically, and they provide all the funding. The children do not pay for the program. We actually start early with understanding that your time is valuable, your skill sets, your information is valuable. So the young people are provided a stipend for completion of the program. They don't get the stipend if they don't complete, and completion means presenting. And so once that happens, then they get a stipend. We also give them an opportunity. We have a sale day, and they get to create a product. It doesn't have to have anything to do with the product that their business is going to be. They could be selling socks if they want to. And then we take them on a wholesale trip. We invest in them a $40 loan. And then on sale day, at the completion of sale day, they have to return that loan, and then be able to tell us how much profit they've made. And so there are a number of ways that they can come away for the summer having made some substantial cash in some cases. And this year, we are very pleased that we're going to be on the campus of El Camino College. And so the young people will be like going to college for these 2-week programs. So we're excited about that.
So the training program is going to be hosted on the campus?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's great. So it gives them that college experience while they're getting that entrepreneurship experience from you and your partner,
Miss Rhonda Hobart,
your business partner.
Yeah, Miss Rhonda. Miss Rhonda actually is the inspiration behind this camp. I met her a number of years ago. I mean, obviously I've been doing this for 17 years. She started it 15 years, me, 17 years for her. And then I actually came in as a substitute for a friend of mine who was going to be a speaker at her camp. And she couldn't make it, so she asked me if I could. And so that was my introduction to Miss Rhonda Hobart, who at that time was an employee of the Los Angeles Urban League. And then the next year she asked me, would I be a volunteer for the whole camp? And I was. And then the following year she asked me, would I be one of the instructors? And so that was the beginning of it. And so I guess, no, really 18 years, because I've been there 15. So so that was the beginning of it. And so now she and I have been partners in this wonderful endeavor, pouring into children and young people and teaching them about the one thing that we love. And yes, we're winners, because that's what you're supposed to be, as a winner. And so when they come into the camp, they know that's what I'm expecting, winners. And so that's what we get. So we're very proud of the program. Last year we had a young man that went to internationals. He went to nationals, the internationals. He won the national, winning seed money for his business, $10,000, and he got an opportunity to spend some time with Damon John, who the founder of FUBU, and also one of the Shark Tanks on Shark Tank, one of the sharks on Shark Tank. And so that was awesome, talking about branding and how to take his product to the next level. So those are the things that I do. And,
excellent. So if one of our listeners out there have kids and they would be interested in participating in your BizCamp program, when does it run? When does it start? Until when? And
yes,
if it's not started yet, can they still enroll their kids in your program? Or if it has already started, can they still enroll their kid in your program?
They can enroll their child into our summer program. Our winter program is coming to an end in a couple of weeks. And so I will put up a flyer so you guys can all see it. The program is going to run this summer from June. It's going to be June 16th, and it's going to run to, I'm trying to bring up the flyer so you guys can see it. No, that's not the flyer. It's going to run for 3 weeks. And then at the end of it, it will be a culmination or graduation and pitch competition. Your child, the stated age is 13, but if your child is currently looking to be in business or has a business already, then your child can it can be as young as 11. But the English age is 13 to 18. Boys
Mm.
and girls doesn't really matter, and they don't have to have a business already. They can actually be in development mode for the business. So, and if they do have a business, that's fantastic. We will take them as well.
I do think that this is a great program that you and Miss Rhonda are running. And I just like for you to share a little bit with our audience some of your accomplishments in this program. I know for the last 3 years, you've been taking them, the youth entrepreneurs, to national competition. I want you to talk about that because you have achieved something that I don't know of any other coach is achieving. So you want to speak to that a little bit?
Well, maybe no other coaches name because children have. This is the program, guys. Children have always been part of my business. Um,
Your business
uh,
model.
Model and so my give back is always to kids, and I've always worked with children in some capacity or another. When I first started, I was a Girl Scout leader, and then I became a coach, teaching kids how to ski because that's what I was doing. So everything that I do is in some area that is important to me, and is one of my loves. And so being a business owner has always been an entrepreneur has always been my dream, and I just happen to have a family of entrepreneurs. So the pathway was probably easier for me because it was already um, in my I was already on that path. That's where I was heading. But for children, if you don't have an entrepreneur or small business owner in your family, then you don't know how to get there. So that's part of what that I wanted to make it easier for them to discover if that's what their passion is, then this is how you get to that passion. For adults, same thing is, if you're going to do business, you need to do it properly, and you need to have information. And when I started, it was very difficult. You had to go to libraries. There was when I started, there was very few people out there that was just handing out information. I think the only one was PCR at the time, Pacific Coast Regional Center, um, and so I had to kind of feel my way through it. Whereas today there's so many community-based organizations that provide technical assistant training to small businesses for free, or as my friend Robin says, not free. Actually, it is your tax dollars that are at work for you. So that's what I do. So we take the kids to competition. They have a great time. But cohort 2 starts uh, July 7th, and it goes on to the 25th. And we do the duplicate of what we have done for that. So if you're interested in your child learning how to be, or just being introduced to entrepreneurship, they may or may not like it. But if they do, then we can help them move forward and to the next level. But you can go to the Los Angeles Urban League and you can register there on their website. I'll put it in the chat. Is laul.org, and then you go under education, and the information will appear, and then the application is right there on the front. Or you can call the Urban League at 323-299-9660, and they will direct you to where you need to be. And so that's what I do.
Well, most of you out there might be wondering, how did you two meet? How did you, Coach Gilbert and Coach Crystal, meet? I mean, you guys are providing this program for all these entrepreneurs, providing them great information. So I just want to share a little bit, or have my co-host share a little bit about how we met. And it's amazing because we have a third person here. We have a third person here in the chat, Mr. Carlos Garcia, who was also instrumental in that meeting as well, because after we met, then we met with Mr. Garcia for another program, and that just blossomed in an amazing relationship. So
that's how we met? I don't think that's how we met.
No, we met well, I want you to tell the audience how we met, but after we met because of the program that Mr. Carlos was participating in.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know about the Carlos part. I met you when you spoke at one of the you were a speaker for Sharon Evans.
Yeah.
That's the first time I met you, when you were speaking on being contract ready and what that took.
How many years ago was that?
Woo. We've been on
10?
air. Yeah, we've been on air for 9 years. Maybe longer than that, 10 to 12, maybe 12, because I think that was 2 years before him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't see each other all the time. I saw you there. That's how I first met you. And then really that was the first time.
I was going up the stairs at the Urban League to go teach
that was
class.
the second time. Yeah, that was with
probably
Mayback.
Just finished teaching a class. So you're going down the stairs, I'm going up the stairs. That's
actually you were coming downstairs. You had finished teaching for NAMAC.
Yeah.
And I was getting ready to go into the back room of the Urban League to teach my class. That's how that happened. And then at that point, but it's been a couple of years by that time, because I'd seen you in some other places. And by that time I was at the place where I was already thinking and developing the Business Zone. And so I needed a co-host. So, and that's how we met. And then we signed a contract to be in the studio, and then that was it. But that's how we met.
It's amazing, audience. It's amazing how we met, because like she said, I guess I just got done teaching a class, and she was getting ready to go teach the next class thereafter. But while we met in the stairwell, I was going down the stairs, she was coming up, and then she started telling me about what she does, the type of, or maybe I said, "Are you the one teaching bookkeeping?" And she said, "Yes." So I said, I want to talk to you about an opportunity. Would you be willing to teach some bookkeeping classes on a contract that I just got? And she said, "Tell me more about it." So I told her a little bit more about it, and I guess she thought about it, and she said, "Yep, I will teach that class." So
that's how Carlos came into it.
Yeah, that's how Carlos came in, right?
I didn't know that part of the equation. So that was kind of it. You asked me would I be open to that opportunity, and I went, "Yeah, where is it?" And you said out in
Mount Sac.
In Mount Sac, which is in Cerritos. And I went, "Where the heck is that?" But okay, yeah, sure. I'll figure that out later. And then at the same time I said, "And would you be interested in being on sharing and being a co-host on the podcast?" So that was what the conversation was, and that was kind of the beginning of it. So we did both at the same time.
So that's how we met, folks. That's how me and my co-host met. But when we met and we started the program over at Mount San Antonio College, that's where Mr. Carlos Garcia came in, because he was in charge of, I think, teaching Excel at the same time while Crystal was in bookkeeping.
Okay. Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
that's right. He was on the other side of it. He did the
yeah.
Excel program. Okay, now I get it. Now I tied it all
Now
in.
it's coming together, huh?
Yes, yes. Now it's coming together. Yes, because on the
Uh,
other alternate days that I taught, he actually taught the Excel part of it, which is
yeah.
part of QuickBooks, right? You got to know how to export out your reports, and so okay, so there you go, one big happy family. Hey, Carlos
One,
family.
one big happy family. But then I think it was either during that time. No, it was after that because at that time we were doing our oh no, we had just started doing our radio show, right? Because you had
Mhm.
approached me and said, I got a dream that I'd like to realize,
Mhm.
and part of it is to have a radio show, and I'd like to have a co-host. Would you like to join me? And I said, sure. I've been doing radio since what, 1986 or something like that. So then we got together, and we went and signed a contract and all that good stuff. We had our first. When did we have our first show? It was July 1st.
No, July 8th. July
July
8th
8th,
in 2016.
2016, right?
Mhm. Yeah, at Morris Media Studios.
Yeah.
And we had an excellent person. Morris Media Studios is run by the poetess, and she's been in radio for a long, long time. And so she helped us through it. When you had the experience, I didn't. So she helped a lot in helping me get comfortable. And
Yeah.
you were communications. That was your major, right?
Yeah. Communications. That's what I
Yeah.
did in college.
Yeah, so it came natural for you.
Oh, yeah.
Teaching comes natural to me, so that's how I saw it. Is just teaching on a talk
Teach,
show,
teaching on the air.
teaching on the air. So we hit it off, and we were in the studio up until the pandemic, and
And the
then
pandemic hit in 2020,
yes,
and we had to stay home.
right. So then I was like, well, we took a little hiatus, and I was like, no, this is a time when we need to be disseminating information. That is what we do. And so I decided that we were going to do it live streaming. And
Well,
uh,
that's when you had started your other
yeah,
podcast
I started my other one. Yeah,
called the community briefing, because it was COVID. No one knew what to do. People were getting all kinds of crazy information, didn't know where to get legitimate information. So my co-host, just like the leader she is, jumped out there and said, let me find a source so I can provide this information to the people of the community. So that's how the community briefing was started. And then she started disseminating this information to all the people in the community. Community people loved it. And she said, you know what? Since I'm doing this podcast with the community, why don't we do a podcast with the Business Zone too? While
yeah.
we
So
were waiting.
yeah, so I mean, it was actually kind of almost the same because really the community briefing was not, it wasn't designed, or let me put it, the first thought of it had nothing to do with airing it on a regular basis. It was
Right.
going to be, I did an online class for those people in my network and helped them. Then we went through step by step. In fact, um, that very first one rolled around in my Facebook as a memory about 2 weeks ago because I started it March 19th.
Mhm.
And then I got a call from one of my colleagues that I've known from church, and he said, "Hey, that was excellent what you did. I want in on it." I was like, "What is there to be in on? It was just a one-off, whatever. It was just a class. It was an online class on how to apply for the CARES Act, what you needed to do to protect your business, what organizations were out there to help you, and that's all it was supposed to be." And so he says, "Well, I think it's more than that. Think about it." And then I did. I was like, oh, okay. Well, we're doing Zoom anyway, so we'll just make this happen every June. And so that's kind of, he came along first. He would go out and get the people, so he became the producer. And then we brought in Mr. Gregory Smith. He's not on today, Sneed. And then he became a host. And then we brought in another female, Robin Phillips, because we all have an extensive network of people that we've accumulated over the years. It makes sense. We're all involved in the community. And now, 5 years later, the community briefing is a standalone podcast, informational show for a podcast for the community, and to introduce the community to leaders and stakeholders that are doing things for them. And initially, it was to make sure that the people, that the banks that were saying they were going to bring money to this agency, to this place, and help all of the businesses survive. I just wanted to make sure that actually happens. That's all. Because people tell us that all the time. We're going to bring stuff. We're going to give you money, and then you go on. Well, what happened to the money? Where'd it go? And well, we gave it to so and so and so. Well, none of the people got the money, and so this time we made sure that the agencies that got it, and then those agencies were having programs that were able to help businesses survive. So there was a lot of money given out, a lot of grants that were out there, and so I, as a coach, I participated in a lot of those programs, and that's kind of what it is. And then the Business Zone was always supposed to be what it was, and so we just continued to do what we do. So we brought guests on, and we did classes.
I must say, co-host, you are just very impressive in launching and maintaining that community briefing program, because it is exactly what it's called, a briefing. So you provided all kinds of briefing on data, on COVID, on where to go for resources, what type of banks have funding for entrepreneurs, and it was just amazing. You brought in experts to the community to speak on certain medical activities, devices, medical status in the community, because people were just passing like crazy. So you did an amazing job, man. I was impressed by that. So, we figure, hey, you have become an amazing pillar in the society, in the community. So we have to just keep fostering that. So you keep doing your thing, and it was just amazing. Now, because of those things and other things, you are also the executive director of another program, right?
Yeah, Recycling Black Dollars. Again, that's really what that's where the community comes from. So that organization is I'm a co-director of that program, and that organization was launched and founded by Muhammad Nazruddin for the purpose of supporting and marketing Black businesses in our community and making sure that our dollar is recycling. Now, of course, that is not happening. Our dollar doesn't recycle 6 hours in the community, but we still out there trying to do it. Maybe one day, maybe not in my lifetime, but maybe in some of these young people that I'm planting seeds, they will make it happen. So I'm optimistic.
So, folks, I don't want it to seem like she just breezed by that information right now. I want you to really hear what she just said, right? So she was telling you guys how long the dollars stay in the Black community, the Black dollars. So you want to tell them again, co-host, how long that dollar stay in the Black community?
It stays 6 hours.
6 hours, guys.
Another community doesn't stay that long. It stays much longer. But again, very much based upon the conversation that we had on the show last week, there are systematic reasons why it doesn't. And that systematic reason is because of the beginning of our world here in the United States, and the goal of the colonizer to keep us under his foot and make sure that we never succeed. And so that's really why it doesn't stay in the community, is because the systematic racism that is in this country is designed to diminish the black man and make him feel that he is not valuable. But we all know that he is. We had that conversation. You guys are interested in hearing about that conversation, you need to go over to the Business Zone and listen to last week's show, because we tell you why and when America was great. And it had nothing to do with the rest of us. It had everything to do with the people that enslaved us and worked us for free. And so that is why.
And so folks, because my co-host is involved in so many activities, we're going to give you guys a list of some of the organizations she's been involved in, some of the programs she's been involved in, some of the nonprofits she's helped over the years, so you guys can get a better picture of her. We go places in the community and people are saying, "Hey, are you that guy that Crystal works with on the radio?" I said, "Oh yeah, I am that guy." So they don't know me, folks. They know her. She is a fixture in this community. So let's talk about a list of some of those organizations.
Oh, I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, I just know I do work counseling, and we're going to get on our topic because that's enough about me.
Well, we can start with the Urban League. So you've done work at the Urban League, and you started at Urban League, what, like 1983 or something like that? Where you were?
It was later on. I didn't really get involved again. I mean, like everyone else in this city, I was a recipient of when I first got out of college, going there and looking for work, because they were part of their, at that time, was workforce development to get you hired by a company. So after college, I went to them. And then my uncle worked for the Urban League. So it kind of is in my family. He had a program to help construction workers, those in the trade, to get their licensing. And he did that. It was called the LEAP program. So he did that for many years. But that was back there in the late 50s, early 60s, right during the time of the Civil Rights Movement. And John Mack, who was the president and CEO of the Urban League, they partnered up, and it was a very successful program for the Urban League. And a number of the tradesmen that are in the industry or retired in the industry in the last 10, 15 years were taught and helped to get into that program. So he changed lives. And so I have an affinity to it because of him. And so we kind of struck up the deal. I needed a place to teach because at that point I was doing my own thing. And I needed a place to teach. They needed numbers. And so we struck up a nice little working arrangement. And so I would do my classes there, and all the data I collected, I gave it to them. That's how we work together. And since that time, actually, as a result of both Recycling Black Dollars and the Business Zone, and probably the community briefing, I now do workshops with training with Vermont Slauson. I do workshops and training at one point with the New Women's Business Center, with GLAC. So that's kind of that's just some of the ones that I work for and then work with.
This is amazing, folks. A lot of people hear about her before they meet her. They hear about, because Crystal said this, Crystal said that. It's like, it's unbelievable, man. This lady is an amazing fixture, and I wanted to talk about her today because she doesn't like to toot her own horn. So guess who's got to be her primary cheerleader? Me. So I gotta get out there and make sure I let people know who the amazing Crystal Mitchell is. So, and I'm not just doing this to aggrandize anything. I'm just doing this because I know that she's good at what she does. She doesn't like to talk about it. But in business, what do we tell our clients all the time? You better market yourself. You better push yourself. And if you don't do that, then your competitor will occupy your seat. They'll take your lunch. So we want to make sure we let the audience know about my co-host, Crystal Mitchell. Now, I would love for you guys to call in like next week or so, call in or put your questions in the chat. If you have any questions about her program, or what she can do for your business, that would be just amazing. But she did mention something earlier, which I'm going to use to make a transition into our topics. So she did say that the dollar stay in the Black community only 6 hours. Only 6 hours does the dollar stay. So that means when you do a job as a Black entrepreneur, small business, minority business, micro business, disadvantaged business, when you do a job and you get paid, that money only stays into the community 6 hours before it go outside of the community to do other things. Now, a big part of that question is why? Why does it only stay 6 hours in our community when other groups, their dollars stay 48 hours, 3 days, 1 week, even a month? So what's going on there? So part of what's going on is what we're going to cover next. So my co-host and I, we did some research. Last week, we did a program on, they said, Make America Great Again. But we went back in time, back in history, to figure out when was America really great? And we found some things. We found some things. So the week before that, we did tariffs. And now we're finding out that, based on what's going on with the tariff, it has a significant connection with us keeping our dollar in the community only 6 hours. So, co-host, do you want to talk a little bit about what we found out about tariffs?
Exactly. And today we're focusing really more on, beyond just the tariffs, of how is it actually affecting the small business community. And again, these tariffs are, they're not revenue coming to the United States government. That is for sure. They're actually, I think, more of a punishment than anything else. But right now, especially the way it's being used right now, it's being used in a way to exalt the president of the United States. It makes him feel strong and powerful, and he thinks that he's doing the art of the deal. And but at the same time, it's not benefiting the small business owner. It's really not benefiting our country. And everyone is saying, and to be so, what is the word about it? It's like there's no strategy. There is no strategy. It's just being thrown out there, and there's no sit down and let's think about it. Yeah, probably could change some of the deals that were made a long time ago, but this is not the way to go about it. So it's really harming the people of this country. And basically, tariffs can raise funds for government by taxing imports. But when there's a retaliation going back and forth, but in truth and honesty, the tariff is a tax. And what happens is on top of whatever else you're paying for the products or certain products that you are importing into the country from whatever other country you're importing it from, there's a tariff, and it's which is a tax for you to do that. Now, prior to all of this, there was no taxes. People would, if it cost them $10,000, that's what they paid, $10,000. Now, the president is at war with a number of cities, and so the countries rather, and he's establish this tax. So the interesting thing is last week's show was about could America once again be the industrial powerhouse it used to be? And the answer is no, because it was a powerhouse because of slavery, because of free labor, and because of cotton production. And today, pretty much a great deal of products that we need and we've become accustomed to are imported from other countries. And they're imported from other countries because it's much cheaper to produce it in other countries than it is to produce it here. And the other thing is, in the United States, in America, labor is we are probably paying a higher labor cost than any other country out there, I would say. And so when countries like China and Vietnam and Mexico and Canada, they can produce the products much cheaper than we can because we don't have the high labor cost. So that's really it in a nutshell. So we want to make this real. We want you to understand that if you can imagine importing from China, they may have once had a 15% tariff, and now it's 125%, and that's just not a price hike. That literally is it's a death sentence for your profits and margins, because there's no way if you are taxed 125%, that means you almost have to double or triple the price of your product, and the customer may not think that's worth it, right?
Right.
And so if that's the case, then you could literally lose all your customers and end up having to close your business. So what we want to do is to open it with a more personal impact. Gilbert is going to share the video, and so there are a number of small businesses that various news outlets have interviewed, and just so you can see how this is affecting them. So the very first one, her name is Beth Benicki, and she's the owner of Busy Baby. She's faced with tariffs escalating from 30% to 125%, leaving her with $160,000 worth of products stuck in China, which is jeopardizing her contracts with major retailers like Walmart. She actually was on, and you'll see this on the video, she actually was a contestant on Shark Tank, and that's how she initially got her funding, and she creates a silicone baby mat. And so, Gilbert, you can do the video.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share the video. Video is a short video, about 2 minutes, and this is a broadcast from ABC station in ABC 5 in Minnesota. So this lady is a Minnesota small business, and we just want to show you how the tariffs have impacted her business, making things a little bit more difficult for her to do. So let me go ahead and share right now, so you guys can see exactly what we were trying to talk about, how the tariffs have been impacting many, many of our small businesses.
You have to do the share in the middle there.
Yeah. So let me go over here and bring up this video. Let's see here. All right. So this is YouTube. All right. So sharing video.
Did you get the share in the middle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That's not what we're trying to do here. Oh, somehow it's not showing up. Let me go back here and access the video once more.
President Trump says an additional fifth.
Okay.
Bear with us little bit, audience. I see. There we go. Here's a video, folks. Let me know if you can hear this. Okay, co-host.
President Trump says an additional 50% tariff on goods from China will be added at midnight tonight if China doesn't end its 34% retaliatory tariff on U.S. goods. Now, this would mean Chinese products would face total tariffs of 104%. That would put the squeeze on small businesses like Busy Baby and Zumbrota. As Ellen Gallus reports, they're already struggling to get merchandise out of China.
We're filling regular daily orders just from our website here every day.
This warehouse in Zumbrota, Minnesota is filled with baby products that are earmarked for Walmart, Target, and Amazon shoppers.
That whole wall is Walmart. And up until a month ago, we didn't pay any tariffs. Zero.
Beth Benicki is the CEO of Busy Baby.
Just got a whole lot easier.
Her signature product is called the Busy Baby Mat and was featured on Shark Tank back in 2021.
Okay.
She runs the business with her brother and has grown it to include a variety of baby products, 7 employees, and 2 big box contracts. She says the new U.S. tariffs on China could double her costs and devastate all that she's worked for.
These new tariffs mean if I don't come up with something really creative really fast, it means I'm going to lose my business in less than 4 months because I can't afford to bring my products into the U.S.
Busy Baby uses raw materials sourced in Asia, and its products are manufactured in China.
I have to pay for all of this.
She has about 4 months worth of product here in her Minnesota warehouse. She has 2 more containers waiting to be shipped from China right now, but she says it will suddenly cost about an extra $170,000 in tariffs.
She did not have to pay the tariffs on this
just to ship them here, which she can't afford.
It's terrifying.
So much at stake that it brings Beth to tears. Ironically, the U.S. Small Business Administration just chose Busy Baby as Minnesota's Small Business of the Year.
You can't get more personal.
But now there are worries if it can outlast this standoff.
This is our everything. This was our dream.
Right now, Beth is working with policymakers and some of her Minnesota lawmakers on possible solutions. She's also exploring the idea of selling her product in Europe or in Australia instead. Reporting in Zumbrota, Minnesota, Ellen Gallus, 5 Eyewitness News.
Man,
this Japanese secret made my kitchen knife razor sharp,
guys.
so I almost made the dumbest
mistake. So turn off. So so that's a real person. That's just like anyone that we coach, Gilbert. You know, they're always trying to make sure that, you know, they get the best cost for producing their product. And it's their baby. I mean, any one of us, anyone that has started a business, it is a personal thing because you put a whole lot of energy and time and investment into it, and you want it to be successful. And as you can see, she had tears in her eyes. And you know, there's a statement below. She says she could lose her home, and so
very rightly so, because not only could she lose her home because she has kids and family, but you know, she got to feed her employees too. She got to pay them, you know. So that's a big burden for any small business.
And on top of that, it puts her, if she can't meet the terms of her contract with the big box stores that she is selling in, now that could actually put her in a position where she may be breach of contract.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be even
more catastrophic for her.
Right, exactly, more because now that's adding insult to injury, right? So these are the things that we see it on the news and people are talking about it back and forth, but what you're not seeing is how it really is affecting the person. And so these tariffs literally is going to disrupt supply chains and increase American consumers and producers. It's almost like another pandemic.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, when you stop to think about it, right? It's because that was a time when we were very much worried about whether you could keep your business alive, and whether you're going to come out of it on the other side. And you know, there were over 400,000 businesses that actually closed down as a result of the pandemic. For many reasons, but most of them were already hanging by a thread. But now this looks like it's going to affect businesses that have been operating with some success, and now they're being disrupted by an artificial, I don't know, I call it bullying and harassment myself, but it's an artificial external interference in how we do business. And so that, I think, is definitely it's just insulting, to be quite honest. And then yesterday, for those of you, the president changed his mind and decided to put everything on pause for some countries, not all countries. And then the billionaires made more money. and we don't know what that was. We don't know if that was some insider trading. We don't know if it would have happened anyway. But all we know is yesterday, a number of very wealthy people were bought stock, and they just became wealthier. So it's really pretty sad that the small business owner is going to really be the one that's harmed in this. So if you, to help you understand the tariffs, the Trump, China was one of the major ones, right? Because they're back and forth, and China turned around and tripled their tariffs on us. And so now it's kind of I call it a pissing war, and between two men, but at the same time, things that are really going to destroy people. So it's the aim is, I think his aim was to force force the Americans to start manufacturing everything that we need. But as we said last week, that's not possible. But in the meantime, you're going to put other business owners out of business, and which is sad. There's some other stories, and we'll share some more next week. But there is one I wanted to share where this young lady, she's the owner of a company called Simplified, and she anticipates an additional of $630,000 in fees next year due to tariffs, calling the additional cost catastrophic. And in my opinion, it is very catastrophic. It is really, really sad. But so we know what's going on. So what are some of the strategies, Gilbert, that we can they can survive this and try to survive it anyway?
Well, some of the strategies that we've reviewed in our research, it shows one, diversifying your supply chain. So instead of looking to obtain your products or services from one source, you can look at multiple different sources. So let's say you are importing from Canada, or you're importing from Australia, and those are the countries that have the tariffs that the tariffs exist on, because the president of our nation and those countries, the targeted ones like Canada, China, Australia, are the ones that they're saying, hey, you will never survive. So we're recommending that you look at other countries that could have some of those same products, but there's no tariffs that exist. So then it wouldn't impact your import costs so much, which means you'd have to increase your product costs to the client, the customers. So instead of going, say, to China or Canada, you may want to look at Vietnam. Now, when we first broadcast this, and when we first talked about this 2 weeks ago in our podcast, Vietnam was a country that didn't have any U.S. tariffs on it. It was tariff-free. But since then, the U.S. decided to slap a 42% tariff on them. And just so you know why Vietnam would be a good and prosperous ground, fertile ground for doing business, $1 US in exchange rate is equivalent to 25,000 dong. The Vietnamese dollar is referred to as a dong, D-O-N-G. So $1 in Washington on it is equivalent to 25,000 dong. So let's say you have a $50,000 transaction, that would be equivalent to $1.28 billion. You hear me? 1.28 billion. So that's how that was set up. But with the tariffs, now folks are looking elsewhere. So some of the places that they were recommending to look in this strategic move for small business would be India. India is one place. Now, for those of you who don't like long flights, you don't like the food, or you don't like certain types of things, then that might not be the one for you. So when I checked it out, I could see that there's so many things wrong with trying to do business with countries with tariffs, because the tariffs are so high. So let's say you're selling your products for $20. They slap a 50% tariff on that. So now $20 is what you would sell for, but because of the tariffs, though, you got to increase it. So now you may end up selling that product for $29.99 or $30. You see what I'm saying? So just to cover the tariff and any extra taxes associated with it when your product comes to the United States. India is another nation they suggest. I haven't seen where there's any tariffs yet with the U.S. on India, but I'm definitely going to look into it. They have Mexico. We do know that there is a tariff on the Mexican products and services, because that was one of the first tariffs that the president been trying to impose on Mexico since 2016, 2017, when he was first in office. Yes. So that's unbelievable. Now, the countries, there are countries that's not currently targeted by tariff, and those are the ones you want to look at when you do your research. You want to put an extra question in there. Is this country impacted by U.S. tariffs? And if the answer is no, then you want to turn the question around. Does this company impose tariffs on U.S. companies who do business here? So those are really strategic ways in which you really want to approach this. And if so, then you look at other countries that may not have that. Now, I want to address two quick points before I switch over to my co-host here. So when in so doing, you're going to try to find other alternatives, right? So my strategy at looking at other alternative is to look at the exchange rate, look at the dollar exchange rate on the marketplace. So when we did our show 2 weeks ago, we look at exchange rates, and the first one was with the highest exchange rate was Vietnam. So we said, oh, this is great. And then we checked, we see there was no tariffs on Vietnam 2 weeks ago. Then this week we found out that the president said, we're lumping Vietnam in there too. And here's why the president decided to slap a tariff on Vietnam, 42% tariff. Because Canada said, hey, you are slapping us with tariffs. We didn't deserve this. So we're going to call our friends in Mexico and we're going to strategize, kind of like what the American companies do now, oligopoly. Oligopoly is when you band companies together to try to do trade as one block or try to do business as one block. You set the price and all of that stuff. So that's what Canada said they're going to do. They're going to reach out to other countries. So they reach out to Vietnam. They reach out to Japan. They reach out to Australia. And that's what they did. So they formed what they call a trade agreement with those countries that means they can do business together and they won't put any tariffs on their products or services. So they'll be doing business tariff-free, except for the U.S. So if they do business with the U.S., then they say, okay, we're going to slap tariffs on your products since you're slapping tariffs on us. So that's what's been going on. So the agreement that Canada came up with in conjunction with those other countries, it's called the CETA. CETA. It's and it's an acronym. C is for comprehensive, the E is for economic, the T is for trade, and the A is agreement. So it's comprehensive economic trade agreement. So that's the agreement that they came up with. And you will, if you do good research, you will see that different companies have been teaming up and doing trade together. You know, like in the Caribbean, for example, you've got Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, and a couple others. They came together and they formed the Caribbean Basin Initiative, right? CBI, this Caribbean Basin Initiative. And that is to do business among themselves instead of doing business with the US or England or Canada, because they were slapping tariffs on them. And then also what the US was doing, the US was saying, well, if you want to do business with us, then you need funds, you need funding to do business. So it's like having a line of credit, like you as a small business here in the US, needing to get a line of credit if you're going to do government contracts or if you're going to do any other type of business. So that's what the US did. And they provide that fund through what they call gosh, what's the name of this thing again? Oh, the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Okay. So they would provide that kind of funding to the Caribbean countries, but they hit them with high percent rates, like 23%. You know, whoa. If they give them $10 million, the interest rate on that is 23%. How are they going to pay that back? You know, it's like those bogus student loans that they're hitting us with and telling us, oh, okay, your interest rate is 8%, but in actuality, it's 20-something%. So when you graduate from college, you know, you start working and you're working for 10, 20 years, and you still owe the student loan because they jack up the rates on you. Same thing they did the IMF, the US. So companies were not doing business with the US anymore. If you notice, certain countries don't do business with the US because of those high tariffs and interest rates. So those countries form their own bloc. So that's what Canada did. They reach out to Mexico. Hey, Mexico, you want to team up with us and do some business? Hey, by the way, let's call Australia. Hey, New Zealand, you want to team up too? Japan, Vietnam. You know that your dollar is kind of weak right now, and you know we can buy a lot of your products from you. So that's how they did that. So that's one of the strategies that they use to go ahead and try to avoid or circumvent this tariffs that's going on right now. So that's what they call diversifying your supply chain.
Okay, all right. And so the second one is to explore the U.S. manufacturing where feasible. But of course, we all know the reason that you went out and tried to find a manufacturer that was more feasible was because you were trying to keep the cost down for your raw materials. And so this may or may not be a suitable solution. It may be less, it may possibly a Jamaican tariff. Hey, Greg, it may possibly be at this point cheaper, excuse me, because you can actually get smaller quantities. In the long run, is not cost efficient, but it actually could keep you in business. You are going to probably pay more than you would if you were getting your supplies or your products manufactured in China, because China has lower labor. I think they pay like $2 an hour, whereas in America, labor would be somewhere between $17 and $25 an hour, depending on the size of the franchise. So it could be more costly, actually, but it could keep you in business. You would just have to explain to your customer why you have to increase your prices, right? And maybe you can bundle it with some other things to make it more attractive, or at least get an understanding if you have a great clientele that we both can help each other get through this. But it's going to cost more on both sides, right? For the consumer, and it's going to cost more for the business owner.
Yeah.
But that is, number 2 is one way. I did do some research, Gilbert, on the next one. I don't know. Did you know about bonded warehousing?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. You got it? No, you want
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. Let me hear.
Greg said, but freight costs are increasing as well. It's like you're getting screwed from left to right.
Yeah.
So bonded, you could use bonded warehousing. So store your goods without paying tariffs until they're sold. It buys you time and cash flow. So what it says it is it's a secure, and it's a customs warehouse. So it comes into customs and they hold it there. And it's a secure storage facility where shippers can store their imported goods without needing to immediately pay the import tax and the duties. And to put it another way, when goods are held in bonded warehouses, they're considered to be still in transit to their final. So you could actually still get your at the rate that you pay for it, hoping that this madness dies out, and then you could go, and the tariffs, they figure how to work out the tariffs, and then you could go pick your stuff up, and possibly it may be a lower tariff. At this point, they negotiate a lower tariff, and then you still may pay a little bit more for it, but you're not going to pay it at 125%.
Right. So
that could work.
So part of the bonded warehousing is what they do is they let's say Crystal, I'm manufacturing some stuff, right? And before I get my stuff exported, I got to go through Crystal's. I got to go through Crystal's neighborhood, right? And in Crystal's neighborhood, she's going to jack me some high tariffs for this product. But the thing about it is, Greg lives in Crystal neighborhood too, and he has a warehouse. So what he does is the bonded warehouse is it's set up so you can do manufacturing in those bonded warehouses, right? Even though, because when you're doing bonding, that it secures the area in which you're conducting your business. So you can do manufacturing there. And then once you manufacture it there, you ship it somewhere else. So that's what the bonded warehouse is all about. So if you want to avoid the tariffs, then you can try to secure bonded warehousing where you don't have to pay the tariffs. You do the manufacturing at Greg's place, and then Greg's will ship it to whomever you want to send the product to, which may not have a tariff situation going on between Crystal's neighborhood and that neighborhood. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Now, do you? So if the bonded place is going to do the manufacturing, then obviously there's some sort of cost, some sort of payment that has to go to him or to them, right? Okay.
So here's another example of how bonded warehouse could work. So you see those like Greg just talked about shipping costs, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you have a big old freight liner out in the ocean, right? Mm-hmm. And you got those containers on the freight liner that they're going to be shipped somewhere else. But what happened is, in one or two or few of those containers, you can do some manufacturing facility activities in there. So you're doing manufacturing in open seas out there, so it's not coming to the US or going to the destination where there's a tariff, so you're doing your manufacturing there, then they can take, once a product is properly manufactured, you can ship it to another destination so you avoid the tariffs, that type of thing. You see what I mean?
Oh, okay. And then Greg said he's getting countries to pay him offshore to negotiate tariffs. So I guess this is
yeah.
Okay. Ship from China to Mexico and then ship to the U.S. So it kind of goes through Mexico and comes back around.
Right.
Yeah, that is definitely a way. And the other one, the next one is to rethink your product design, reduce some materials so you can cut the cost if you're going to have it manufactured in the United States. Offer a DIY assembly. That works.
Which a lot of people don't mind.
Yeah, they don't mind. They might want to put together our gardening, everything we buy for the garden, we end up having to put the containers together. Just bought a raised garden. We're going to put that together on Sunday. So we were able to get it at a cheaper cost.
It's kind of like IKEA, right? IKEA you have to do your DIY assembly.
You have to put your own furniture together with your glue. So if you a handyman, Greg, he loves to do that kind of stuff. Greg actually refurbishes furniture. He does an excellent job, actually. Strip out some tariff triggering components, like if you have batteries included or there's some sort of electronic piece to it, you might have to eliminate that for the time being. Now this
this is an interesting point, because sometimes you buy some products, you go on Amazon and you purchase products, right? And it's electronic. It's like a phone, for example, like a house phone. That's supposed to come with batteries, but a lot of times the phone comes without batteries. So now you can't operate it until you get the batteries. So now you got to go buy the batteries from somewhere else.
So that, but it came to you cheaper. You got it cheaper.
Yeah.
Number 5 is raise your prices carefully. Now, this is always hard for customers, especially for long-time customers. How do you gracefully increase your prices? So hopefully everyone understands what's going on right now. And
we'll never understand that, man. we don't care about understanding. Any price that goes up, we're complaining. We're going, what the heck? Why is this price going up? I'm not understanding this. Oh, it's tariffs. I don't care about tariffs. Well, it's a shipping cost. Well, I don't care.
I didn't pay that last week, right? Yeah. So
exactly.
Again, it's a hard, uncomfortable place to be. But if you do happen to have some great customers and they get the whole concept of what's happening, maybe they may embrace that, but I don't know. Like Gilbert said, nobody ever wants to pay higher prices.
No.
All right, so that's just the way it is, right? Apply for duty drawbacks, which means you might qualify some refunds on duty paid for exported, modified, or destroyed. And I don't know if you're gonna sell. I mean, this is your business, so it's not like it's for you, right? It's not like you're bringing this home. And okay, you got a dent here. I'm okay with the dent. I'll turn it to the window, right? Or I turn it to the wall and nobody see the dent. But now you can't buy damaged products and then try to sell it for whatever the value was that you were selling your other product for. So I don't know. Quality.
Nobody wants to buy damaged.
Nobody's going to buy a lesser quality than what they've been getting from you in the past. So it's a very slippery slope that you're operating on.
Well, I just want to add a little piece to number 5 there, right? The number 5 piece that says raise your prices and all of that. Now, NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, when it was introduced in 1995, and I guess it was approved in 96, between Mexico, Canada, and the U.S., right? That was part of the reason why they had that little group, that little trio coming together and having that trade agreement. is because of this. They were trying to reduce price, keep prices low. And that's why the manufacturing of certain product, they had it done that way. So 33 up to 33% could be done in Mexico, 33% in the US, 33% in Canada. So you put all of those together, now you got 100%. So then, because you don't have 100% of the product, you don't pay that full tariffs. You see what I'm saying? So you only pay a percentage of it to make. So let's say Mexico is exporting. They did the product. They did 1/3 of it. The other third is in the US. The other third is in Canada. Then they ship it to Japan or somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? So instead of one country, one nation paying the total.
Oh, they split it. They share the wealth.
Yeah,
they share the wealth.
Yeah.
That could work.
And that's why the NAICS codes were created, to track and monitor those products and their parts. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Greg asked the question: would someone pay more to buy made in USA? I'm gonna ask myself that question.
Would someone do what?
Would someone pay more to buy made in USA?
Heck no, I don't think anybody wants to do that.
No, well, unless you're that person who is feeling that you need to make America great again, and you don't have a problem because you're supporting America. But to be truthfully honest, I think that the people that are going around saying that how much they love America, like the person that is destroying America, how much they love America and they're trying to save America. I think they're hypocrites, because
I don't see anyone being a super patriot today. I don't see that.
I just don't.
And if they're going to be a super patriot to overpay for a product because it's made in the US, that's not good financial sense.
No, not at all. So no, I do not believe. I don't believe that, Greg. Maybe somebody in those red states, but I think they're hypocrites too. So because they're not out here screaming. What if the quality is better?
Yeah,
possibly. It depends on what it would be.
Right.
If I mean, for years, I don't believe. I don't know where they're made now, but for years, I know my mother used to. Every appliance she bought, her refrigerator was a Kenmore, and I believe that was made here in the United States. And you got, Sears sold Kenmores, and they lasted a lifetime, right? So maybe something like that, maybe a big ticket item. I might, maybe that you buy a mattress, and you expect to be on that mattress for 20 years, maybe. You buy a refrigerator. In some cases, you may be able to keep that a lifetime. The refrigerator might last longer than the marriage.
See, the only reason I see, and I'm going to interject myself in this, the only reason I see people overspending on a product because it was made in the country is if the quality of the product supersedes its competition from other countries. Like, for example, your parents will tell you certain things you don't underpay for. You don't get discounts on, like toilet paper, toothpaste, certain things you gotta have the right things, or the right product, or electrical work. You don't want some little person who has no license come hook up your electricity for you.
For your
plumbing.
Right. I mean, I think we as Americans, when we shop, we have some sort of sophistication in place. There are certain things, if you're going to go to the dollar store, those are knockoffs. So I don't know if I'm going to eat anything that I bought in those places. Right. So, and cleaning fluids. Okay. Depending on what I'm cleaning, I might buy the knockoff. But I think we're sophisticated, consumers, and we know what we're getting and when we get it. And yes, there's certain things that we truly don't want to scrimp on. But then things like buying automobiles, if there are no parts here and now vehicles are going to cost 3 times the amount, or 4 times the amount that they were. I don't know, but you have to have them. I don't know. It's just kind of I think it's a personal decision that a consumer has to make. Yeah. But here's one, and we're going to wrap up because we're getting into the 2 hour.
Yeah,
2
this
hour
is
late.
So last two.
Yeah, so I think that, and I've always thought this, and I assume they still are out there, joining trade associations and cooperatives to leverage collective bargaining power and share best practices. I have always thought that was a that was a great way on a norm, right? That's why associations are out there. You have to pay your association dues, but I know on products like, and Greg knows this because he's in the insurance industry, I know if you're looking for, say, you have your insurance is going to be more, commercial insurance is going to be more because of the type of business you do. You may truly want to go through a trade association that represents your business, because you could get the product cheaper than you would be able to get on your own. So, looking into that, I think is a really good idea, is joining the trade associations or co-ops or doing some research now. Right now, I think it just requires you to be, like we were during the pandemic. It requires you to do your homework, to do some research. Once you finish the panic and the meltdown, then grab your thinking cap on, get on your computer and find out what are some ways you can navigate around this for the time being. As we know, I don't think we're going to have to endure this forever, but I don't know right now the damage that's being done in this country. I guess the biggest question is, are we going to be able to recover from it, and are we going to be able to repair?
Yeah,
that's a question. Can we repair what we see right now and what is happening with the Social Security Department? Is it broken forever? Maybe it did need to be fixed before, but now, is it going to be completely dismantled and you got to start back from scratch, right? So it's like you can't undo a cake, right? You can't put the cake back in the box once the cake has been mixed up and baked. So what does that look like? And I think that's the scariest part that we have to endeavor.
So here's a quick example of some of the benefits of joining a trade association. Okay, to circumvent some of these tariffs and others. So one quick point on a benefit is networking opportunities. You get to network with other professionals, suppliers, and others who have been in the field. They've been in there for a long time. They've established certain framework that you can leverage to help you, or you could buy stuff together, so it end up costing less. You see what I mean? You've got industry advocates who are in trade associations. Those people, they advocate on your behalf. For example, legislation, regulation and all of that. If you go together, then that they'll look at your concern more favorably, right?
Right.
Access to industry data and market research. That's another one that is good, because if you're looking at pricing, you're looking at trends, any kind of reports or market research, it will help. Or if you're going to do business with, like, for example, when I was telling you about me doing some business in Costa Rica, I wouldn't just jump and go to Costa Rica and say, hey, I want to do business with you guys. No, I'm going to check out the Department of State, and I'm going to see what are the proper approaches to do business in a country like that. I'm going to look at what research have you done? Are there any issues in that country? Is there any issues with doing business with entrepreneurs? So that's an association right there too, Department of State, that provides information to entrepreneurs like us who want to do business abroad. So that would be a great way. So accessing industry data and research. Next one, professional development training. That's another one. You know, maybe you need certain certifications. So together they can provide education, training, and seminars that will help you. Credibility and trust. You know, if your trade association has credibility and trust in the marketplace, then you going under them will make your approach more legitimate, because they have to have vetted you for you to be a part of that organization. And then, you know, you have cost savings, right? You have cost savings that it helps because you're doing things collectively, kind of like with business insurance, right? So if you approach business insurance with a trade through a trade association, then the trade association may say, we have 350 members and we're looking for business insurance, general liability, workers' comp, whatever. We are not going to pay what the regular insurance company are charging. So we want to pay only maybe 2/3 of that. So by putting things together, these trade associations will receive, you know, reduced rates after negotiations for their members. So that's another one. And finally, problem solving and support. You know, if you don't know how to do something, just like I said earlier about the Department of State, you know, if you don't know to do something, you reach out to them and say, hey, have you run into this kind of problem? Have you done this before? As a matter of fact, there are some new reports that came out last week on this particular issue, and this was a conclusion. This is what they agreed to. So there are so many different ways of doing this. You know, the one that you mentioned there, that one point, you know, that's just amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to kind of close out the show, but we just want you to know that we're going to challenge you today to make sure you're telling your story, though, because if you keep it to yourself, no one, we can't help you, and your consumers don't know what's going on. So share your story. Go on podcasts. Go on talk radio. Write. Do a newsletter. Do a share on LinkedIn. Call your local representatives and your senators and your local your governor, your mayor, and see if they can help you find some new manufacturers and educate your customers. And just know that you can't be silent in this storm, because you will not be able to protect your business. And so encourage listeners. One of the things we want to do is encourage our listeners to support local businesses. Things that you need to do. Advocate for more transparency. Get involved in your local politics, because they need to hear your voice. You're the consumer. Call out, speak out, write op-eds in your newspaper, be a guest on a podcast or a talk show or podcast like our own, and tell your personal story. Go to your chambers and your community-based organizations and seek some help from them. And make sure you vote in the midterms to vote out the corrupt politicians. So that's basically what we want to tell you. We want you to thank you for tuning in. And if you guys are going to watch this at a later date, you can find us on YouTube, under the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and on LinkedIn, on Facebook, but it's housed permanently and archived on YouTube. So that's the best place to go see it. And go over there and hit the subscribe button, and then you'll get a notification of any other shows that we have. We are here every Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. Tag us if you have a question, and we can help you. But until that time, guys, stay bold, resilient, and make sure that you're fighting for your rights, because you are a citizen of this country. You pay taxes, and the way we're being treated right now, I think is just absolutely deplorable. And so we just need to speak out on that. And I just said something, I read something before. We're going to end very, very soon, but I read something that said, if China, we owe China some $730 billion in bonds or something. I think that's what it said. And if China decided to stop playing these little silly games with the man that's sillier, and decide to call in their notes, we'd be up the creek without a paddle. So he seems to forget that we are in debt to we've been in debt to China forever.
It's like getting a bank loan and telling the banker, I'm gonna impose tariffs on you because you are charging us high interest rate. So the bank said, all right.
Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that. And we all know that we owe China a lot. The U.S. owes China a lot of money. And so we really need to stop all this, I'm bigger and badder than you are, because really you're not. But I do know this, the wealthy are getting wealthier while the poor people are being stepped on like they're parasites, and like it's almost if the president hates the people that live here in this country. He only likes the rich people, and he hates the peasants that happen to represent the country itself. So just crazy. Those are our opinions. You guys can take your opinions and however you want it, but that's my opinion. So with that, guys, we're going to thank you for joining us. Despicable, right, Greg?
Greg said to call Delroy. Delroy can fix anything. He's crazy. And then Dr. Robin Allen said, "Oh, that's so right."
Right, it's right. We owe money to China. We've been owing China. We've been through 4 different. We owe China approximately almost $700 billion in debt as of February 25, and it is one of the largest foreign holders of U.S. debt. This debt is primarily in the form of U.S. Treasury security. So we need to really get our acts together, or he needs to get his act together. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back next week with another riveting topic. We'll see what the week brings us, and that's how we will decide what we're going to talk to you about.
or who knows? Maybe they'll slap a tariff on us.
Please.
Slap a tariff on the business zone.
So we need to, we'll come back next week and we'll talk all about whatever is, and it may be even this subject again, and we may have some local people. Actually, we have a guest next week, so.
And we're going to present, next time we speak on this topic, we're going to present a different side to this tariff. We're going to present from the small business perspective, how they're going through this, how they're dealing with it, how it's impacting them, and what they think they can do. So if you're a small business out there and you want to share your experience, your knowledge, your expertise, contact us. Crystal, you got your contact information in the chat.
You guys know how to reach us. Go over to our YouTube channel. All our information is over there.
All right.
So
go to YouTube.
And while you're there, hit the subscribe button, please.
That's right. Go to YouTube. Go to the Business Zone. And while you're there, you hit that subscribe
button, and then you'll get all our information. And I'll put some information of what we talked about in the description to give you some ideas. And you guys just crank out your computer. Use your Chat GPT, your Copilot, your Gemini, and whatever other tools you need to find a solution. Use all of those tools to find a solution. And we will see you all next week. Have a fantastic week. We can't wait to come back next Friday. All right, guys. Bye-bye.
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a